What is going on, you beautiful bastards? Welcome back to the channel. This is Unnecessary Rambling. I am Brandon Sylvia. Today, we are talking about the games of November. Diving into the games that are releasing in November that I am excited for. The games that are maybe not so much for me, but still some big titles worth mentioning. And all of the rest. So, let me know in the comments down below, what is your most anticipated game for November? Looking like 2022 is closing off pretty strong here. Had a rough start to 2022. Well, I guess really not a rough start. February was pretty stacked, and then I guess we had a rough middle for 2022. A real drought there in the middle, and now it's looking like we're starting to pick up some steam to end the year off strong. I think October was the best month overall for games, new releases of 2022. And November and December both looking fairly strong as well. I wouldn't say November's on the level of October, but still some good stuff here, especially for Game Pass. So, yeah, let's go ahead and crack this thing off with November 3rd. Talking about The Chant dropping on November 3rd, and that is that cult horror title where you are presumably escaping this cult. You're on an island trying to get off this island with weird cultist members on it. And when I first saw this, I was like, hell yeah, a walking sim or a choose your own adventure supermassive style of game, but exploring the cultist theme. I was like, yeah, I'm down for this. That's a theme that's not really explored at all in the game space with, horror cults and shit. So I was like, from the get-go, I was like, I'm down to check this out. And then I watched a gameplay breakdown, and it is a lot more than any sort of walking sim or choose your own adventure. There are a lot of systems at play here. You have your combat system that has a ton of variety in it, different abilities and some progression systems, kind of leaning into some role-playing systems a little bit with upgrading paths and shit. And then you have your puzzle solving, and you also do get like the dialogue decisions and stuff that can help shape the narrative and take you down different branching paths and stuff. So there's quite a bit going on here with The Chant. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Does the gameplay look 100% super polished? Not really. I could see this being a little bit janky, a little bit rough around the edges, but I'm getting very strong Sinking City vibes from The Chant. And Sinking City is a game I really adored. It had so many different systems going on simultaneously that it was trying to juggle, and a smaller developer. A lot of similarities here. The only thing with the Sinking City that I'll say is that was a very big, expansive open world, whereas The Chant I don't think is really trying to do that. So hopefully with slightly smaller locations, slightly smaller areas that they're having to account for, they can polish up the combat, the battle systems a little bit, and hopefully everything can kind of run together, go together in a cohesive manner, and nothing will be too broken. But I could see this being slightly rough around the edges, but regardless, I'm just curious to see if that ambition plays off with all the different things that they're trying to tackle here with The Chant. So that's November 3rd. Into November 9th, we have The Big Dog, the game that I think is probably most of your most anticipated game. Probably, hell, not even just for November. This is probably most people's most anticipated game for the rest of 2022. And that is God of War Ragnarok. 2018's God of War, a lot of people consider it one of the greatest games of all time, building off the back of a very strong story, a story that I loved in the first game, and seemingly addressing the complaints that I had with the first game as well, where I found the lack of enemy diversity and location diversity to be a little bit jarring. And from that state of play trailer that we saw, it seems to 100% be addressing those two areas more than almost anything else. It seems like we are getting tons of different locations and environments to explore, tons of different enemies to take on in battle. So those were like my big two complaints with the 2018's God of War, and with Ragnarok seemingly addressing those, and I can't imagine that the story will end poorly with this kind of being the close to the Norse saga. I imagine it'll have a big, mind-blowing sort of reveal or conclusion, or just a nice stamp on the, on the two games, on the journey that we've had so far. So definitely looking forward to this. I loved 2018's God of War. I am not as hot on it as most people because Red Dead Redemption 2 came out that year, and to me it was a clear, God of War was like clear number 2 to Red Dead Redemption 2's number 1. But I think that the foundation that they built, to see that expanded upon, maybe, you have Eric Williams, who's the game director for Ragnarok, who has been a long time gameplay and combat designer. I wonder if they're going to kind of lean in and have a bunch of different crazy chaotic moments, just crazy chaotic combat moments that harken a little bit back to like the original trilogy, the original God of War trilogy. It'd be cool to see some shit like that, and some different weapons that you're getting to use, and maybe getting to play around with Thor's hammer a little bit, or some just crazy chaotic shit. I can't wait to see what all they pull off with Ragnarok on November 9th. November 15th, we have Pentiment, and this is coming from Obsidian, kind of the game that a smaller team at Obsidian is working on while they are also working on Outer Worlds 2 and Avowed, and this is sort of that holding people over until we get the real big titles. So my expectations aren't through the roof for Pentiment. I'm not expecting it to live up to like Disco Elysium levels of quality, but you can tell that the Disco Elysium inspiration is definitely there. And we did hear recently that it takes about 20 hours to finish Pentiment, so that seems pretty ambitious for a all narrative driven game. But 16th century setting, sort of murder mystery, and yeah, just a sort of whodunit style adventure with a cool aesthetic, cool art design, and I trust Josh Sawyer. I trust Obsidian's writing more than really anything else with Obsidian. Obsidian is one of my favorite developmental teams out there, but a lot of it is due to just how great their writing is. So a game that is all about writing, all about narrative, I think they should be able to hit this out of the park. And I'm just expecting to kind of go into this and have a nice story to bite into. And if it's anything more than that, if it exceeds those expectations, then great. But I don't think my expectations are set too high to where this could really disappoint. So Game Pass Day 1, November 15th, Pentiment, I am there. Hell, and speaking of Game Pass Day 1, on November 15th as well, we're getting Somerville Game Pass Day 1. And this is coming to us from ex-Playdead co-founder Dino Patti with his new team Jump Ship, which is a very on-the-nose name for a team. But Somerville looks to be kind of a continuation of what you would expect from Playdead. It has that Limbo inside DNA 2D side-scrolling puzzle-solving adventure, and all I really know about this game is the one trailer that popped up at E3, I believe 2021, looked visually absolutely stunning. I don't really know anything else other than that. They went radio silent for a while and then just popped up the other day and said, hey, we're dropping our new game November 15th after a long just silence, just popping up like, hey, here we are, November 15th, dropping it on you. So I'm expecting high quality Limbo inside style gameplay and puzzle solving, and I can't wait to check it out on the 15th. That's one of those, I'll probably go Pentiment over Somerville on the 15th and, play Somerville a little bit later. I'm curious to see how Pentiment ends up shaping out. I think I'm more interested in that one. I think Somerville's kind of more of a lock to be pretty damn solid, and Pentiment is just the one that's more intriguing to me overall. So that's what I'll be going with on the 15th, but I'll definitely be playing Somerville at some point this month for sure. I'm thinking Somerville will probably be a 3-4 hour, maybe 2-3 hour style game. So hell yeah. November 18th, we have The Devil in Me, coming to us from Supermassive, the next entry in their Dark Pictures anthology. And this is the one that seems to be where they are expanding the most. It seems that they're trying some new things in this that we've never really seen from a Supermassive game, with inventory management, different items and weapons and puzzle solving. And I think this could be a big breakthrough for Supermassive. If you think about, the possibilities of this team being able to do actual gameplay, even if it is very rudimentary, very basic, but having a survival horror game where you can make real consequential decisions that shape the narrative, but also getting a little bit of shooty shoot bang bang here and there, nothing over the top, but a little bit of shooty shoot bang bang, a little bit of puzzle solving, combining that with the great narratives that they can craft and the weaving these different plot lines. And man, this could be huge for Supermassive. And I just think that team is incredibly talented, just being able to crank out games as consistently as they do, but then introducing those new elements, those new mechanics. Sign me the fuck up. I'm really hyped to see if they can pull this off. They may not be able to pull this off, and it may be the total opposite effect where all of those systems are cumbersome and not at all interesting or don't add value to the game. But I don't know. Even if they are slightly tedious and a little bit annoying, but it's something that they can use as a foundation to polish on and improve for further games, next year and the year, because they release a new damn game every year. So if they can just lay this foundation and improve upon it each year, we could get something special with Supermassive in the coming years. So Devil in Me, November 18th, November 22nd, we go into Game Pass again, day one again, Evil West. This is coming to us from Flying Wild Hog. I played Shadow Warrior 3 earlier this year, and that shit was really fun. Shit was really, really fun. First person, just chaotic action experience. And Evil West looks to be a third person. Crazy, chaotic action experience. So a third person shooter with all the same visceral, gory nature that you would expect from your Shadow Warrior games, and insane kills and awesome abilities. And it's kind of got this vampire hunter / western feel to it. You're thinking some Dark Watch meets Red Dead Redemption, and real cool vibe with some narrative. It seems to be leaning into the narrative a little bit, maybe a little bit more than Shadow Warrior. Shadow Warrior was only like, I don't even know, man, maybe 5 hours long. So this, I could be just assuming here and making an ass out of you and me, but the feel I get that this, it feels a little bit higher budget, a little bit maybe like a 10-hour sort of third person narrative adventure with some crazy fun ass gameplay, high octane action. Hell yeah, I'm there. And then we have another double dose here, as we had with November 15th, Pentiment and Somerville dropping the same day. On November 22nd, we have Gungrave Gore and Evil West dropping the same day. And very similar games here with Evil West and Gungrave Gore. Both, third-person shooter, high-octane action with awesome art style and aesthetic. With Gungrave Gore, it looks a little bit more anime, has a little bit more anime vibes going on, and maybe slightly more cinematic than Evil West. Could be mistaken on that, but it just has a real anime vibe with the cutscenes and cinematics that I've saw. So yeah, who knows? I never played the games on the PlayStation 2. I know that they have a cult following, and people really enjoyed those games on the PlayStation 2. So it's nice to see it returning to modern consoles. Another one, Game Pass day one. Two very, very similar games dropping day one on Game Pass. So we'll see if they cannibalize each other. I hope they don't. And usually with services like that, that's kind of the one benefit, is that games can have a lot longer shelf life, so it'll, as long as it's in the service, it'll always be accessible for people at a very, very low barrier of entry. And Yeah. So those are the games I'm looking forward to in November. If I had to say my most anticipated out of this list, I mean, you kind of got to go God of War. If I had to say the game I'm the most shit, there's actually a few here. I think the game I'm the most curious to see if it ends up being solid is probably the Chant. And Evil West, I'm really really excited for that as well. So if I had to put together like a top 3 list of my most anticipated games off this list, I think I would go God of War Ragnarok 1. I think I would go Evil West 2 and the Chant 3. I think. I mean, the devil in me is up there too because I'm curious to see if Supermassive can pull off the different, gameplay mechanics with the, also tying in with the story and all that shit. If they can pull both of those things off simultaneously, so there's a lot of things. November's actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's a curious ass month for me. Pentiment, curious to see how that'll end up shaping out. Devil in me, curious to see if those mechanics will be decent. Gungrave, just curious to see what the hell that is. The Chant, curious to see if all the different ambitious shit they're doing will pay off and will work in a cohesive manner. So, yeah, November, a lot of curiosity. November is the month of curiosity. All right, so outside of the realm of curiosity for me, these games I'm not all that curious about, but I do think they're worth mentioning very briefly here. Not for me, but still big titles worth taking a look at for some of you possibly. And on November 4th, we have It Takes Two dropping on the Switch. Perfect game for the Switch. It's a game that you really can't dislike. I don't know of anybody who's played It Takes Two and didn't like it. Loved my time with it on the PS4. And I think that most of you out there who are Switch owners will enjoy your time with it as well. Sonic Frontiers, November 8th. I'm not a Sonic guy, but if this thing does crazy reviews and it's like Sonic's fucking Breath of the Wild or some shit, maybe I'll check it out when it goes on sale. Tactics Ogre Reborn, for all you Tactics fans, y'all have been eating pretty good lately. Turn-based and tactics-based gameplay that you've been getting some good hands dealt to you here lately. So Tactics Ogre Reborn dropping on November 11th. Goat Simulator 3, November 7th. Whenever I saw this trailer, I believe it was at holy shit, my brain, all those showcases are like melding together in my brain. Was it Gamescom opening night live, I believe, where we had the Goat Simulator 3 like gameplay trailer where it showed all the open world shit and the customization, and I was wowed by just how much was going on in that trailer for Goat Simulator 3. It's like Embracer has really totally just gathered up all of the crazy, chaotic open world games. You have your Saints Row, you have your Destroy All Humans, you have your Goat Simulators. Like that, they've really cornered that market of just weird, unique open world titles. So, Goat Simulator 3, November 17th. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, November 18th. Don't really have anything to add there. And yeah, that closes off November. Those are the big heavy hitter games, the games that I'm looking forward to at the top, and then the games that we're talking about here that are maybe not so much for me, but still big titles worth keeping an eye on. So yeah, man, November not looking too shabby. So some good stuff there. So I'm curious to hear out of all this stuff, or even something I may have missed. There's a couple games I was going through, I go through the Game Informer list each month that kind of set my expectations of how much damn money I'm going to have to dump out. But there was a couple in there that piqued my interest that I didn't include on the list. I forget the name. One of them's like a first-person horror kind of walking simulator. I'll include the name right here. I forgot the name. It's something the Last Lazarus, something or another. It was interesting looking. I watched a trailer of it, but I'm just kind of like first-person walking simmed out. With the first-person walking sim horror games, I'm just kind of out of it. It's not really piquing my... It's not really giving me what I want. I dive into them quite frequently, and each time I'm just like, this just isn't clicking with me the way it used to. So I didn't put it on the list, but it is one that at least visually and the world and shit looked nice. So yeah, man, that is pretty much it for the video. Let me know anything you were looking forward to, anything I didn't include on this list that you're like, hey, this might be a hidden gem, one to keep your eye on. Let me know down in the comments below. And yeah, man, appreciate you all for stopping by. We'll get a news video out sometime soon. I promise. October has been a month just in all regards. Personal life, fucking 184 games releasing in the span of 31 days that I'm trying to play and cover here on the channel, which is, I'm absolutely not complaining about that. I love diving into as much shit as humanly possible, but it's tough to kind of follow along with the news and have some insightful opinion to add to that shit. So I will get a news video out to you sometime soon and just do a big recap, or maybe just jump on to the current shit that's interesting there. There stuff like the Witcher remake and Dragon Age 4 entering or exiting alpha, entering beta sometime soon. Like, those things are I'm so hyped for shit like that. So I do need to crank out a news video soon to at least let the hype out. Get hype about some good shit. Maybe that'll be the plan. Just sitting here fucking rambling to myself, but maybe that'll be the plan. Go through and just talk about some shit I'm hype about instead of diving into fucking Activision Blizzard CMA versus Jim Ryan part 867. Even though I do find that shit interesting and fascinating, I'd almost just rather watch other people, talk about that and discuss that and just listen to what other people have to say. I don't really have an opinion on the shit, so. And then that's like the number one news story each and every week. I don't want to fucking cover that. So regardless, appreciate you all for stopping by. Appreciate you all for watching, and I will see you good people in the next video. Goodbye.